This is a lecture from Open Tuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
This lecture we're going to go through the final chapter in the CIMA P2 lecture notes, which as you can see is risks associated with collection and use of information. And what we're going to talk about here, you see any business obviously needs lots of information in order to operate, to make decisions, etc. And these days, most of the information will be stored on computer. And so what we're going to look at in this chapter are several things. Firstly, the sorts of information that the business actually needs at different levels of management. The sorts of software that's available to help management at different levels make decisions to use the information. And the risks associated with holding data on computer. We spoke about risk management in the previous chapter, looking at whether to accept risk, avoid risk, reduce risk, transfer risk. But here, more specifically, the risks associated with holding all this data on computers. So several things here. And first of all, you'll see that pyramid. We're referring to different levels of management and the sort of information they require. Now we'll go through the individual bits of this in the later pages. We can keep referring back. But the first thing initially is, see there, in bold there, we say there are 3 levels of management and decision making: operational, tactical and strategic. And I said we'll keep referring back to this pyramid. I can't say everything at once. But those 3 levels, operational, tactical, strategic, discussed on the next page. So if you turn over, you'll see, first of all, strategic planning. That's very much long-term decision making. There's no rule about what's long-term. It says it tends to be 5 or more years, but that's not a rule. But long-term decisions, such as, shall we launch a new product? Or shall we open a new office, in another city? They're examples of long-term strategic planning. And those decisions tend to be made by top-level management. And the sorts of information they'll need very much external information, such as knowledge of what our competitors are doing, knowledge about how customers are likely to react to this new product we're thinking of launching, information about the economic climate and what's likely to happen in the future. So they're going to need lots of external information. All right, they'll need internal as well. But those decisions, again, long-term decisions made by top-level management. Once we've made our long-term strategic plans, that, okay, we're going to launch this new product, for example, then we move down a level to what we call tactical planning, which is more short, medium term. And a good example of this is the preparation of budgets. The budgets, which were generally done for the coming year, they're much more detailed plans. We've decided to launch our product. It was a long-term decision. Now we can look over the coming year in detail as to how it impacts, make our plans for how we're going to start achieving it next year. That sort of decision tends to be made by middle management. Top-level management make the long-term plans, in a sense pass it down to middle management, who are in charge of doing short-term plans to implement the strategy. They'll need information, both external and internal, in order to start doing things like the budgets. Finally, once we've done our short-term plans, perhaps for the coming year, then it goes down to the operational level, which, as you can see, is focusing on the current period. Once we've done our budgets, for example, at the tactical level. We're planning on producing 1,000 units a month, sort of thing. It's then up to the junior managers to actually apply the budget and check we are producing what we're supposed to be producing. Checking day by day on how many hours we're working, do we need any overtime, that sort of thing. It's the day-to-day running of the business. Day-to-day decisions, again, do we need to start getting some overtime, whatever. If you look back at that pyramid, I said we'd refer back. You've got the levels there, operational, tactical, strategic. And you can see at the side, strategic decisions tend to be made by top-level management, executives. The tactical level, short-term planning, that tends to be senior and middle managers. Operational, it says workers, but workers and junior management. Actually, the day-by-day running of the business in line with the short-term plans, the budgets. Finally, on those different levels of planning, a little summary at the bottom. At the strategic level, when we're making these long-term decisions, they're interested really in summarised information. They're going to, often, almost always, using estimates about the future. Is our new product likely to do well, and so on. Non-routine, decisions about launching a new product, opening a new office, they're not decisions that tend to be repeated very often. The non-routine tend to be one-off decisions, and as I've already said, they're going to need a large amount of external information to help them make these plans. At the bottom level, operational, there it's much more detailed. How much material did we waste yesterday? How many hours overtime do we need? That sort of thing. It's usually historical. I just said, how much material did we waste yesterday? Can we do better tomorrow? Routine, tend to be measuring the same sorts of things day by day. And it's almost entirely internal information that you're looking at. How well are we operating? Tactical, that says a mix of the two. Okay, well, they're the different levels of planning. And at different levels, they need different types of information. And there's various information systems, software, available that will help them, depending on which level of planning we're talking about. And you've got a list there, let's run down them. First of all, transaction processing systems. That's the software that's recording the day-by-day transactions. It says there an example recording the sales orders. Obviously, sales orders, every sales order will be input. The day-by-day accounting, or the debits and credits, clearly these days all done on computer. Input the transaction, it's processed. So that's the transaction processing system, and that's used very much at the operational level, where each individual transaction is being recorded. Management information systems, well, when management come to look at, for instance, wages, transaction processing system will have recorded the wages for every single employee. But of course, management are unlikely to be interested in how much every single employee is being paid. They'll be interested in the total wages bill, or the total wages bill analysed between departments, perhaps. And so what the management information system does, it takes the data from the transaction processing system, that's where wages are all recorded, but it tends to summarise and analyse to give managers the information that's more useful to them. So transaction processing has every single wage recorded. Management information system summarises them and gives them total wages, again perhaps analysed in total between departments. Oh, another example there, you've got sales data. Every single sale will be recorded in transaction processing. But for management, they're not interested in every individual sale. Again, it says maybe transformed into analysis of sales by product, total sales for each product, or total sales for each customer group, or total sales split geographically between different countries, different areas of the country. It says automated, produce regularly, regular, perhaps monthly reports, giving middle managers the information they want. And if you look back, I'll keep going up and down, but if we pause for a minute and just look back at the pyramid. Go. Transaction processing systems are at this operational level. They're recording each individual transaction. But management information systems are more applicable at the tactical level. The middle managers, the senior managers, they're interested in these summaries much more than fine detail. All right, back again to where we were, our list of here we are. Yeah, decision support systems. This is software to help managers make decisions. We've got the information, we know how much we're paying wages, we know what our sales are and so on, but to help managers make decisions. One, I think, fairly obvious example is the use of a spreadsheet. That, it's so common, obviously, to have the information put into a spreadsheet and play around with it there. Or a more specific example, you should be aware from paper P1, in fact, of linear programming. And we sit and draw graphs and things. Well, you can get linear programming software, which doesn't make the decision for you. We need to get the relevant information and feed it in, but it will help managers make decisions. I'll wind back to the pyramid one last time later, but that's very much at the tactical level. Executive information systems, these are rather nice in that it tends to be used by top management, to an extent middle management, but whereas there'll be standard routine reports appearing perhaps every month, perhaps every month, the computers are programmed at the management information system to produce an analysis of the wages bill between departments. That's routine, that comes every month. But there's going to be times when higher level management want non-routine information. Oh, we're thinking of launching a new product. I need some information about sales of existing products, but in a way that's not normally produced in our standard monthly reports. Well, executive information system is software that enables management to access the data on the computers in a non-standard way. So, for instance, they may have on their screen a summarised profit statement for the month, total sales, total cost of materials and so on. And they decide they want a bit more information about sales. Can we have total sales split between the products? Well, this software lets them what we call drill down. They've got sales there, 500,000. Double click on it and immediately a breakdown appears of those sales by region or by customer or by product. Maybe they want it by region. So they've got a list of each region of the country, what the sales are. They look at one region and they want a bit more detail, so they double click on that figure and immediately they get more detail. We call that drilling down. Initially you've just got summaries, but if you want more detail, double click. You can get more and more detail as much as you want, which is very useful to get non-standard information. And also, it's very easy to use. You don't expect your managers to be computer experts. And so it's very easy to use. And the reports tend to be very graphical. Instead of just coming up with a list of numbers, they tend to come up as charts, and pie charts, graphs and things. Just easy to use. Enterprise Resource Planning System. It says there it's software that integrates all the information within a business. All the information, not just sales, manufacturing and so on, but even details, customers' names and addresses, suppliers' details. You know, it's all being held, but instead of each department having its own little system, just recording the data they need, here everything's integrated. It's all tied together throughout the whole business. Finally, expert systems. Now these are rather nice. Suppose, I'll give you one example. Suppose we've got a tax problem. We've got a tax problem, some query about sales tax on foreign sales. Well, of course, there are tax encyclopedias, effectively. We could sit there and pull down the relevant volume and look up the problem we're looking for, but it's time consuming. What an expert system is, it's like an encyclopedia on computer. It has all the tax information stored on it. But to help us find what we need, instead of us having to effectively go through page by page, the system asks us questions. It may come up with a question first of all. Are you interested in company tax or personal tax? So you click on company tax. It knows what company taxes there are. So it says, which of these taxes are you interested in? And you say, oh, sales tax. It knows all the different sales tax rules. So it might say, is it to do with a sale abroad or in the home country? And you say abroad, and so on. That it helps you find the answer because it knows what questions to ask to get to the answer. There's an example mentioned in the notes here. Medical diagnosis. Again, there are all sorts of encyclopedias about different illnesses. But what an expert system does, it has all the information there. But the first question may be a picture of a body and click on which bit hurts. So you click on the leg. So it knows it's a leg problem. Well, it's got a whole list of leg problems. So it then asks you, can you walk? You know, if you can walk, then that cuts out some problems. If you can't walk, it indicates other problems. But I hope I've got the point across. An expert system, it's got all the information in there, the knowledge, but it helps you find it by asking questions and narrows down to find out what the problem is. So if I go back to that pyramid for the last time, oh dear, here we are. We've talked about the different levels of planning, operational, tactical, strategic. We've talked about the different levels of managers, etc. involved in it. Strategic, top level management, executives, tactical, senior, middle managers, operational, junior management and your workers. And the information systems that are useful to them. We've already said transaction processing at the operational level, Management information systems at the tactical level. Decision support systems. Tactical and strategic level, to be honest, helping you make decisions. And executive information systems are at the strategic level, where, we've got a particular one-off decision to make. I need specific information, which is not routine. Nowhere on there are expert systems. They tend to be either strategic or perhaps a bit more tactical, where this encyclopedia type knowledge can be useful. Okay, we'll have a pause there and carry on through the chapter in the next lecture.